Hello, my friends. Let's start with the Kursk direction. Yesterday, Budanov made a statement that Korean troops are expected to arrive here soon. The first North Korean troops are expected to arrive in Russia's Kursk region tomorrow, says Budanov. We expect the first units to appear on the Kursk front tomorrow, the head of Ukraine's defense intelligence, Kirill Budanov, told a news outlet. It's unclear how many troops there will be or what kind of equipment they'll have. We'll see in a couple of days, he added. Meanwhile, concerns are growing in South Korea about the movement of North Korean troops to Russia. Following a meeting to assess the situation, South Korea's National Security Council said that Pyongyang's deployment poses a significant security threat both to South Korea and the international community, as it flagrantly violates United Nations Security Council resolutions that prohibit military cooperation with North Korea, according to the South Korean news agency Yonhap. As for the front line, there are no reports of new changes over the past day, but the Russians continue to shell and carry out offensive operations. Zelensky also said that two brigades of North Korean troops are most likely being prepared.
Ми маємо інформацію про підготовку двох підрозділів числа військових з Північної Кореї. Може бути навіть дві бригади по 6 тисяч людей. І це виклик. Але ми знаємо, як на цей виклик відповісти. І важливо, щоб від цього виклику не ховались і партнери, і всі партнери. Я вдячний усім країнам та лідерам, які засудили приєднання Північної Кореї до російської війни. І зрозуміло, що в Пхеньяні, так само, як і в Москві, не рахують людей, не цінують людське життя, але ми всі у світі однаково зацікавлені в тому, щоб війну завершити, а не продовжити. Тому ми разом повинні зупинити Росію та її спільників. І якщо Північна Корея може втручатися у війну в Європі, значить тиску на цей режим точно недостатньо. І якщо Росія досі може робити цю війну більшою і довшою, значить кожен у світі, хто досі не допомагає примушувати Росію до миру, насправді допомагає Путіну воювати. Злочинців треба зупиняти. Ми очікуємо жорсткої предметної реакції світу. Бажано не тільки словами. Я дякую усім, хто допомагає Україні. Я дякую усім нашим воїнам і кожному і кожній, хто працює заради України.
Overall, we are waiting to see how events develop, but the situation here is tough. In the Kharkiv direction, shelling of Kharkiv has intensified once again. The Russians are likely using glide bombs in their strikes, and they are also attempting attacks on the village of Lyptsi. It's possible they want to push closer to Kharkiv, and if the war doesn't end soon, they may use North Korean forces to build up strength and eventually try to capture Kharkiv, creating a buffer zone. For now, however, the city is under heavy bombardment, and all attacks on Lyptsi have been unsuccessful. The fighting for Vuhledar continues, but despite the operation clearly failing, they are still depleting their reserves with daily assaults. Over the past 24 hours, the front line remains unchanged. In the Kupiansk direction, the Russians continue their assaults on Petropavlivka, but no attacks have been reported in other settlements. The situation hasn't changed over the last day. In the Borova direction, the situation is gradually worsening. The Russians are managing to advance further, and a new breakthrough was recorded yesterday, which has significantly deteriorated the situation in Lozova and Vishneva. In fact, the Russians are claiming that Vishneva is under their control, but we are waiting for an official statement. But regardless, it's clear that the situation is deteriorating and the Russians are moving closer to Borova. Further south, the Russians are storming Kharkivka and Novomykhailivka, but the situation here remains unchanged for now. In the Kreminna direction, the Russians are also advancing and have already secured a foothold in the village of Novosadove. They are also trying to fully push the Ukrainian armed forces out of Terny and are breaking through near Toretsk. The activity in this area is intense, with over 10 assaults reported in the past 24 hours. However, despite the heavy fighting, the front line remains unchanged. In the Siversk direction, the Russians are attempting to break through near Bilohorivka and are also assaulting Verkhnyokamensky, where only part of the village is under their control. Additionally, attacks on Pereizne have resumed, but for now, the front line remains unchanged for the past 24 hours and fighting continues. In the Chasiv Yar direction, the Russians are continuing their attacks on the outskirts of the city and conducting shelling. There is no new activity on the flanks, and all previous attacks have been unsuccessful for the Russians. In the Toretsk direction, the situation is challenging. The Russians continue to advance within the city with intense fighting over every meter. They've managed to break through to the outskirts of Shcherbynivka, and attacks have been recorded in Sukha Balka. The heavy shelling hasn't ceased, and recent reports confirm further advances. So far, halting the Russian advance here has been unsuccessful. In the Pokrovsk direction, the Russians remain active. Ongoing assaults are targeting Vozdvizhenka, Myrolubivka, the village of Promeny, and Lysivka. In addition to attacks, the Russians continue shelling Myrnohrad, with residential buildings being hit again yesterday, so each day the city faces more destruction. The situation is also critical in Selidove. Some reports suggest that the Russians have taken part of the city, though this hasn't been officially confirmed, as fighting is still ongoing. Recent updates indicate that the Russian tanks have breached the city, with infantry battles underway as well. Moreover, they are trying to move towards Novodmitrivka and are assaulting Hernik and Kurakhivka. While there have been no new advances there, the situation remains highly challenging. In the Kurakhove direction, offensive actions continue toward the village of Dalne. The Russians are still attempting to break through closer to Kurakhove, with ongoing assaults on Katerinivka and Antonivka. They've had some success here, managing to advance closer to the outskirts of Katerinivka. Additionally, they moved 1 kilometer and 400 meters through the fields towards Antonivka and even secured positions on its outskirts. The fighting is intense, with more than 20 assaults recorded in the past day, and the Ukrainian armed forces report that the Russians are heavily shelling Kurakhove in preparation for future attacks. In the Vuhledar direction, the battles around Bogoyavlenka and Novoukrainka persist, but the Russians haven't made any new gains. The front line remains unchanged over the past day. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, Russian forces are attempting to advance towards Molotokmachka through the fields and continue shelling the village, but they haven't made any progress. The front line remains unchanged. In the Kherson direction, shelling of Kherson persists, along with renewed attempts to break through to the islands. However, the situation there remains stable without any changes. Meanwhile, at the BRICS summit, India's prime minister reiterated that the war in Ukraine must end through peaceful means. Regarding the ongoing war, we are in regular contact. As I have said before, we believe that issues should be resolved peacefully, and we fully support the swift establishment of peace and stability. In all our efforts, we prioritize humanity, and we are ready to offer any possible assistance in the future, he emphasized. Okay, that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.